what you're given, that's how we live it. Don't be mad at the system, it's simply how we've existed. I hear a lot of people talking like they politicians and choose to be an accountant because it's safe in a business.
Hello soldiers, this is Coach45. I'm back again with another reaction video. And yes, it's like 1 week and a half later. Yeah. So, I feel better now. I'm not coughing, I'm not spitting out mucus. It's just this weather is just being dumb. And right now, I'm going to be reacting to the same video. Old video games, old consoles from back in the 90s and 80s. So, if you guys enjoy the video, that's great. If you guys don't like this video, leave a thumbs down. If you have something bad to say, don't say nothing at all. Like, if you don't like the video, why did you watch it? So, this is Ninja Turtles. This is part 9, Ninja Turtles. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Yeah. So, I got a long way to go. Long way. Like, look at this shit. Like, look. That is just freaking ridiculous right there. So, let's get this started.
We're huge into Ninja Turtles in the 90s. Like that was almost our main. That was our main, pretty much. Where it was just Ninja Turtles and maybe other stuff on the side, or yeah, we're all about other stuff. But it was Ninja Turtles. Not sure why, but it was. But I can also say why, because it's cool. They're turtles. They're beating up people. They have swords and.
So, admittedly, this one was the one I least. However, I actually had the most fun with this. I didn't really get the story too much, but I don't think back then the story was really the focus. The overworld was weirdly enough difficult for me to actually kind of get around. But as far as I knew, I was just replaying levels over and over again, honestly.
But you do have the actual option to play as one of the 4 titular turtles, which were never turtles, they were tortoises, by the way. And you just had to basically make it through the stage, like from the usual, from left to right, and that was pretty much it. But then there were a few occasions where it would be like from top view, and it wouldn't even be platforming, it would also be swimming.
A lot of people who've played this game would say that the dam sequence is the hardest level, and I would agree if it wasn't for the fact that we have the likes of Technodrome's stage. The Technodrome stage has some really tight corridors, lots of enemies flying at you from all directions, and in many cases it's really difficult to avoid taking monstrous damage.
A lot of people are going to say the dam is one of the toughest levels, but for me, I'd say it's when you get to the base level. This is the one where you're like near the Foot Clan and you go into these tunnels and you're fighting these really difficult enemies. There's just 2 types. There's this hedgehog one and then this other thin one, and you don't know where the exit is because you're trying to find the Technodrome. So it could be under any of these random points in the game. Also, I'd say the Technodrome itself was quite difficult, yeah.
So like I said, I was really bad at games when I was a little kid. They were all hard to me, and it was a miracle if I got past them. So I guess it was maybe the one I couldn't get past, which was like the 4th level. I have no idea which one that would be, but...
Oh yeah, water levels. I'm like a lot of other people. I'm not good with water levels. Whether that be Mario or, in case Ninja Turtles, Echo the Dolphin, which is one giant water level. Let me tell you. I think it's a common equation with the devs at the time, where it's just like, okay, they've already learned. All right, it's time to throw you to the wolves.
One of them being the swimming levels, just that there was such narrow pathways, and the blooming seaweed. I just thought that the seaweed was the hardest part to get past.
No, I never beat the game, but I did witness my dad beat the game, so props to him. He sat there from, like, start to finish and beat the game. And yeah, it's not one of those games that have checkpoints or passwords in, so you literally have to sit there from start to finish and beat it.
Legitimately, no.
Oh yeah, no, I never beat. Yeah, I barely got past level 4 or 5.
No, but I'll do a bonus question. Who's my favorite turtle? Leonardo. Matt and I like the 2 katanas, so. Favorite weapon, favorite turtle, favorite color, blue.
In the original Legend of Zelda, the camera was top down, but in Adventure of Link, it still retains the top down view, but that's only when the map or hub. When you enter a palace or a cave, the camera switches to this sort of side scroller. And that's where the game gets really difficult.
It was a big game, that's for stars, and the other, you get to explore towns and talk to people, and the enemies were quite challenging.
Legend of Zelda, the second game, is a little bit more unique because it reminds me a lot of Pokemon. If the random encounters were more perceptible and potentially even avoidable. But I do remember that I thought it was a lot better because I liked the side-scrolling sections a lot more than I did the open-world stuff. That's why I mostly played that game as opposed to the original.
Most different thing would be that it's 2D instead of top-down and RPG-ish elements in it.
But the thing about the game is that you can level up, which is something that the other game didn't do. So the more enemies you defeat, the more points you get, so you can basically upgrade your health, attack, and magic, which will benefit you in the long run when you get to some of the harder levels.
The thing that I remember most about Shadow Link is that I used to be very terrible at video games, and I was never able to beat him. So one of the things that I had to do, unfortunately, was pay my older brother physical money to get past him.
This game gives you, like, no indication of where to go sometimes, and you'd have to figure out that you'd have to travel to this one town, speak to this one NPC that looks identical to the other NPCs, and he'll open the way to the next level. I did come across one NPC called Error, and at the time I thought it was just a problem with the game. I didn't know that was the name of the NPC. I didn't actually beat the game, but I did witness my dad beat the game, because the last boss is Shadow Link.
If you're asking if I ever beat it, nah, never.
I have not.
No, again, this was at a friend's house, and I was like, this sucks, I want to play Castlevania.
Like Contra, I have not.
Castlevania is about this guy, this guy from the Belmont family going to kill Dracula because he's just been messing things up again.
Or He-Man, for that example. Going around and whipping Dracula. I mean, there's a real story to be found. There certainly might have been in the manual, but I didn't read that.
My experience with the game is based on more recent years, but even then, I think the game is pretty damn difficult in general terms, and some or many enemies are more easy to deal with. There's just some in there that just annoy the hell out of me. It just varies a lot depending on the enemy itself.
I'd say the Medusa heads, and I'd also like to say the bridge when you have to get to Dracula's room, because you have these like giant vampire bats, and they can knock you immediately into the abyss.
Well, my annoying moment was that I had to leave from my friend's house where I was playing it.
I mean, death was... I couldn't really ever get past death, and then I'd say screw this and stop playing.
The second boss, as I haven't gotten any further than that. I'm bad at NES.
The boss that I had this time with is the Mommy Twins. They annoy me even more than Death himself.
Death, I'd say, is my hardest boss. Just very simple boss, but the amount of projectiles that come out, you have to be really on your toes when you fight him.
Contra is a side-scroller shoot-'em-up game in which you can shoot at 9 directions, but only one at a time. Like, you can shoot like to the front of the character, to the back. You can crouch and dodge bullets, and it's a really hard game because at the same time that most enemies die at one hit, you also die at one hit.
So Contra is this game where you play as like two buff dudes and go onto the island and need to shoot all these bad guys, and that's all I remember from Contra. But the thing was, in Europe it was called Probotech, and they replaced all the human enemies with robots. So I didn't really know about this until I got the internet.
Contra is a run and gun type of game where you have enemies all over the screen, while again you're trying to go from A to B.
Favorite weapon, I'd say definitely the spread gun, and I'm pretty sure my team will say the same thing. That gun was so overpowered and so broken, but it was like so awesome.
Without a doubt, the spread gun. The spread gun it covers so much area, does so much damage. Doing it against bosses, it shreds them in no time because of 5 hits.
Yeah, I think laser and spray gun are equally my favorites.
Yeah, the spread shot. I really do like the spread shot because it has a wide range.
I forgot what it was called, but basically the weapon that shoots out triple lasers or triple guns. Yes.
There wasn't too many hard bosses in Contra, but I think the ones I kind of had trouble with was the ones where you're in the bases and you're fighting a giant eye or 2 robot heads. And I think because the camera is different, it's not like the other levels, they could throw you off.
Honestly, the final will constantly spam out like an infinite amount of aliens that are just gonna surround you. With the spread gun, it's not too bad, but if you somehow die, you are severely screwed facing against that thing.
Yeah, it's like this xenomorph alien. It was really hard. Like, I barely even killed it at times.
The most challenging one that I might have died a couple times from was the 3rd boss.
Yes, I did beat Contra. I didn't really need the 30 lives cheat either, but it was a challenge, but I still did beat Contra.
I did, honestly though, with Konami Code, I did not beat it 3 lives because I don't know anyone who could beat that game with just 3 lives, at least not off my memory, not any of my closest friends could. But I think that Konami Code makes that game more bearable, but yes, I have beaten Contra.
Yeah, luckily I beat the game out of lots of times, I just beat it 10 maybe.
I have not beaten the game since the latest age I could get up to was the 4th game. I have to find my NES to play, or I could just play on an emulator.
No, I got very close. I was playing with a friend, co-op.
The first Metroid game is based on, I'm not sure I'm going to get this right, the Planet Zebes, where you play as the bounty hunter Metroid, and your primary goal is to defeat the space pirates and their evil overlord Mother Brain.
But basically, it's a long maze-like game where you're able to tackle it in any way you want to, and yeah, it's fun. You get upgrades, you go back, you go forward. And the more upgrades you get, the better it is to, traverse. It's actually, even though I'm not the biggest fan of Metroid, I gotta say that Metroid is pretty cool for a game.
I didn't play an insane amount of it, but I played a little bit to. I really liked the theme. The music worked really well with the levels and the whole appearance. You had aliens, and it wasn't cartoony aliens too. This was serious sci-fi. Everything looked freaky, and I liked that because I was always a kid who was fascinated by stuff that scared me. It was scary, and I was pulling away from it, but it also like interested me. What about it is scary? And then before you know it, stopped being as scary, and then I was able to actually like probe. So I was loving the whole aesthetic of the aliens looking like horrific, and like they weren't humanoid, they weren't cute little, you know, aliens that said stuff. No, these were like biomass of freakiness.
I remember getting lost a lot in this game because, again, the game gives you really no map, not really indication of where to go in it. Every place looks the same in this game, apart from when you go to, say, Norfair or Brinstar. But one thing that really irritated me with this game is when you go through those bubble doors and the enemy can, like, launch a surprise attack and there's nothing you can do about it. You literally take a cheap hit when you go through those doors.
Well, what I remember most is how confused I was because I was so used to Metro Zero Mission having a map, and there was no map. And I was just like, I just got so lost. Back then I didn't really take notes of maps, and even then I still don't do that.
The thing I remember most about the game is what it's probably most known for is the Metroidvania aspect, which is it's just one giant map that you will work your way through, going back and forth as you gain more powers to gain access to new areas. So rather than sort of a linear
like a Hellcat.